Hello, welcome to my channel. So I decided I'm gonna start not critiquing but just speaking about art. And why I decided to do that is simply because I'm a fine art painter. That is my work, one of them. And I feel like art is in crisis. Probably not the only one that thinks that way. Not many people want to actually say it, openly. We have a guest over there, by the way, my son. Anyway, so I think art market is completely out of its mind, and why this is happening is because there's a lot of, I'm just gonna be straight up like blunt about these things. There's a lot of like talentless people that, now because of social media gives them the voice, gives them the power to show to the whole world their work. Everybody is now considered this, great artist, right? And so I don't have anything against people exploring, their talents. I don't know, somebody got retired, from their work that was very mundane and, very boring, and it's like involved basically no skill, no special talent. I understand that you finally want to, fill that void and explore things, and even other people, even teenagers. You don't have to be retired, but I'm saying, I have nothing against that. Obviously not. I mean, who am I to judge somebody who wants to, express themselves and chose to start painting, and But the thing is, when I was growing up back in Eastern Europe, art supplies were not available like that. First of all, they were expensive. Second thing, they were like very, very limited, especially when we are talking about mediums, right? Mediums are very important because nowadays, when you walk into a store, you have like, I would say, tens or hundreds of mediums that you can use and experiment with to mix into colors, into paint, and then just do whatever you want, and all sorts of tools. And that's how you might basically make something interesting, right? But it was just a matter of luck. It was just a matter of experimentation, and then a lot of people flock to such channels, and they're like, "Wow, this is amazing! What an amazing art!" And I think, myself, like, what are these people talking about? Like, why? I mean, there is no skill in this thing. Most of the time, there is absolutely no skill. A lot of these people have absolutely no idea how to draw, how to paint proficiently, and I would say quality, to develop their skills, to sharpen their skills, which is not like one day, which is not a couple months. Me personally, I've been at this like since early age, right? Everybody does. And, a lot of children that pick up, art, painting, drawing, all sorts of stuff. And then, the difference between professional artists and somebody who's just a hobby artist is a professional artist goes on and on and on, sharpens their skill, test materials, experiment with things, and, really comes to the level where they can really express things in a very, very, sometimes even very detailed manner, because they're able to, because they have the skill set that it's required to do those things. And like I said, nowadays we see a lot of, pouring paint, spinning all sorts of, canvases, throwing them up and down, all these stupid circus, it's absolutely unnecessary. A lot of these people, and especially women, they're taking advantage, and also not just women, just also good-looking guys, right? They, show their physique, they're, dress in a way that, it exposes, or it's in a way some sort of, seductive, has some kind of seductive element in it, which is completely, it's stupid. Like, let's be honest, it's totally stupid. I mean, if you want to promote your art, just promote your art and see how good your art does without showing yourself that way, right? I challenge everybody to do that. Just do that. Just post paintings. Don't post yourself. Don't try to, like, especially women, don't try to show your physique and your like beautiful clothes coming up. The way I'm dressed right now is because I decided to do this, right? So, emphasis on me being dressed this way is because I also realized, like, as a society, we got lazy. We everything is good enough nowadays, right? So there's no more standard. There's no more. The bar is so incredibly low that anything goes. And even myself, I used to dress up more because that's what my job required, and the lifestyle that I had at the time. And so then I kind of like went away, and as an artist you think like, oh yeah, I can just put some pajama pants and I'm so cool, because like, oh look at this crazy guy, like that's an artist, and it's like, why does it have to be like that? Artists used to be very, I would say, delicate about how they presented themselves, and they cared. And nowadays this is mostly it's completely gone. The same way it is with architecture, it is with painting, it is with sculptures. A lot of these things completely lost value. We're moving into digital era of complete digitalization of art, which is now bringing another challenge into this. That now we're just clicking a couple buttons and we can make some image look amazing, right? Okay, but now this is sort of like almost like this is a collapse of our society. This is a collapse of our standards in general. So everything goes, like I said, everything is just good enough. And when it's good enough, I see people with their work in galleries that like years ago, there is no chance in hell they would ever gotten a spot in a decent high-end gallery. You will see this nowadays, work of artists that. So how I distinguish between quality art and hobby art is by strokes. It's funny, right? But it is by strokes. You will see the proficient artists who knows exactly what they're doing, even in the abstract paintings, not just stuff like this. This is very sort of realistic, impressionistic, kind of like a mixture of two genres. But what I'm saying is, you can judge somebody's quality, somebody's confidence. Confidence comes from having a skill set and having a certain level that you have achieved because you sharpen your skills. So you can see the textures, you can see the strokes of paintings, even in abstract paintings. It doesn't need to be representational art like this. And you can see that. You can recognize that once you yourself are basically proficient in such skills, somebody's demanding more attention than myself. Anyways, we'll get to the end of it, but this is the scope of my channel, why I'm starting to do this, and I'll be presenting more of my work, also explaining how I do certain things and why I do them that way, and how things come together as a final image. This, as you can see, I like to frame my paintings to enrich basically to show, to emphasize the art that is wrapped in certain frames. Sometimes frames are not needed, but I will do something like this. I will never leave sides unfinished. See? I will never leave them unfinished, because that to me, just painting something nice and then having unfinished sides, it's like, it's one of those aspects. It's good enough, right? So whatever. Like, no, it's not whatever. You are giving this to somebody, or you're selling it to somebody who have to spend their time and invest their energy into making money, which is not that easy nowadays, and it's getting harder and harder. So why would they pay for something that is just good enough? I wouldn't. Would you?